Well, hello YouTube, and a very warm welcome back to the Life's Good. And I'm actually outside in the garden today. It's been a while. We all know that I had the accident and I wasn't able to get out and do very much for quite some considerable time. I've been catching up with things indoors. I've been back to work, and great news, I do have another motorcycle, and maybe I'll feature that at some point soon. But that's not the point. The point is we're outside in the garden. I haven't been able to keep up with it very well, although we have been harvesting produce. I have done little bits and pieces, and if you look over my shoulder, I'm sure you can see that this plum tree, the one in fact where Mr. and Mrs. Woody brought up Widget, this plum tree has had a good pruning. Now Cheryl helped me do that. I wasn't able to do much on my own, but we have been able this season to give it a good pruning. Whether we've done it too much, I don't know. I'm not a fruit tree expert, but we did go through, and the plum tree especially needed a good prune. The apple tree and also the pear, we've given them a little pruning as well. I do like to keep them low. They are on a dwarf rootstock, so they shouldn't be allowed to go too tall. But we have had a good abundance of fruit from the plum tree this year, and we made chutneys and jams using those plums. The apple tree was good, and we've even had pears this year. So all's good with the fruit trees. But it is the winter now, and what are we, the 8th of December today? Not long now to the winter equinox on the 21st. That is the shortest hours of daylight, longest night time. And from that point on, the sun starts to move back up, or the Earth's rotation around the sun changes, and we start to get longer days again. So yeah, we're approaching spring. We're in the middle of winter. We haven't had snow yet, although it is forecast for the end of this week, so I thought it was a good idea to actually get out here today and let you have a look at things before they all get covered in snow. So look, I'll lift you off the tripod, we'll have a wander around. I want to have a quick nosy down in the vegetable garden. The greenhouse is a mess. There's lots of things down there that need to be cleared and tidied and prepared now. And I'm starting to look ahead to spring, so I'm going to be making preparation now for the things I'm going to be growing for spring. And I do anticipate being able to use the greenhouse over the next few months to bring some things on in there, and I'm considering putting some heat in there using the paraffin heater, possibly the electric one as well. That worked very well. And maybe grow some salad crops. Lettuce tends to grow well in a greenhouse during the winter. My father used to grow lettuces and spring onions and all manner of bits and pieces in his greenhouse during the winter, so I'm quite sure that I can probably manage to do the same. So if I'm doing that, I'll show you what I do there. It's probably going to be by way of an experiment, but if we can get some produce from that greenhouse this winter and into the spring, that would be good. So give me a moment, guys. I'll get you off the tripod and I'll take you down the garden there, and we'll have a nosy around the veg patch, and I'll let you see what's going on down there. Well, just by way of an overview, the garden itself, it's all much the same as it was the last time we were here, guys. It just looks a little bit shabby and a little bit untidy, but everything's there or thereabouts. If I can just step around the tripod, I'll see if I can point a few things out for you. Just getting my wires caught. Right, the runner beans down here. I grew runner beans in this area in containers, and we had great success with these. I've actually cut them off at the bases now. I just severed each one, let them wither on this mesh, and makes it a bit easier to clean them off at some point. So I'll be cleaning all that down, and I'm considering doing the same next year. I'll probably plant more runner beans here and grow them here again. I'll be replenishing the soil or the compost, so it'll be fresh compost, so there's no issue with planting the same crop in the same location because the soil will be changed. So this I found was a great location for the runner beans. So yeah, we'll do that again next year. I think that was a great success. Turning back here now, you can see I've got a few things left in the ground. There's still some leeks over there. We have been using leeks. We've had them as a vegetable, as a side vegetable. We've also made soups with them. There's quite a few still left in the ground. There's only Cheryl and I, and there's only so many leeks you can eat at one sitting, so they're actually lasting quite a while. And there's the remains of a few spring onions in front of those. I think I'll have those away today because I do need to clear this off a bit now. So those spring onions will be coming out. I'm not sure if you can freeze leek or not. I'll have to do some research on that, but if I can, those will be cleared and prepared, and I will pop those away in the freezer if I can do that. Maybe somebody knows if I can or can't and can let me know. It'd be nice to hear from somebody to let me know what I can do with those leeks to keep them in storage rather than having to consume them all now or lose them. What else have we got here? Parsnips in this area. We've been using the parsnips. They've been a really good size. Some of them are a foot or more long. If I get the chance, I'll lift one and show you one of those in a moment, guys. The chard. Whoa, hang on. What happened there? Well, I hope you guys are all right after that tumble. The perils of live television, eh? Oh, dear me. Right, I must remember this wire is 20 feet long. If you get beyond 20 feet, I'll pull you over again. We don't want to do that, do we? Where were we? Gosh. The fire brigade and the ambulance have left. Nobody got hurt. We're okay. Chard. We do have chard still. We keep using it. It's been attacked by the chicken. Daisy comes out now and again, and she's been eating off the edge of this. Doesn't matter. There's plenty of it there. So we've been using that still. We just wilt it. We treat it like a spinach. And the leaves and the stalks can be used. And we do enjoy those alongside our dinners. There's some sorrel left, but that's looking a bit sad now. The raspberries are okay, no leaf on them now, just the canes left against the fence. I do need to get along there and tidy that a bit more. There's a few loose ones that need tying back. And I've got the remains of a few sunflowers sitting in there. I had different varieties of sunflowers I grew. None of them came to much, but there was a few flower heads, and we did leave them for the birds. The birds have been in taking the seeds out of the flower heads, and we've now got the remains of the stems which are collapsing and rotting, so I need to clear that away. And I got one or two swede left up there, not very big ones, just some small ones left in the ground. So all in all, the veg patch is just sitting here. It's fairly dormant for winter now, but it does need tidy up. It does need to be cleared a little bit. And I've got rather a large bin of compost sitting behind the chicken run here. It's the Dalek style compost bin. It's full to the brim. Now the compost at the bottom of that should be well rotted, and it does have a little opening at the front. You can open it, take the compost out, and I'll be doing that, removing it from there and spreading it on this garden. And again, if I come to do that, I'll bring you along and show you what I'm up to with that one. What else have we got here? A very untidy greenhouse. This one as well had tomatoes in it. Not that successful this year in my tomatoes, but quite a few. They were all right. We've used them all, so we've had some produce from in there, which is what it's all about. The chilies weren't that successful this year. I don't know what I was doing wrong with those. It's the first time I tried growing them from seeds saved from a chili that we used in the kitchen. I think the lesson learnt there is to use proper seed that's been prepared by a company specifically for sowing and growing. I don't know, maybe give it another go, see how we get on. But you try these things, some things work, some things don't. Right guys, let's turn you around and show you the mess in this greenhouse, because it is shocking, believe me. So brace yourselves. Right, now I'm holding you freehand now because it's very difficult getting the tripod and me inside the greenhouse doorway and sort of give you a whiz round what's happening in here. But this is an unholy mess, believe me. I've still got this curtain hanging here, but it's seen better days. It's been a bit ripped. I might leave it there for the for next spring to see if it's effective. I was using it to keep the insects out actually, leaving the door open, this stopped insects from getting in the greenhouse to a degree. I did get a few small ones in, but nothing serious, so it worked in that respect. Getting in here, as you can see, is typical of most people's greenhouses. I've got the remains of some flowers here that didn't get used, sitting around, just a mess. I've got some pinks in a pot over there. I think if I whiz them out into the garden, they probably will survive. They'll be okay. The remains of some chilies. Look at these guys, this is shocking. Yeah, the whole area. I just need to clear this all out, give the place a good clean, and sterilise, and get it set ready for sowing and growing again for next spring. So this is an area I desperately need to address. I'm just trying to squeeze through past this mess and look at the maximum minimum thermometer there, guys. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's hard to focus, but the hottest it's been since I last checked this is 39 degrees Celsius. It's currently 10, and it's been as cold as minus 2.7. That's inside the greenhouse over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So that gives you an idea of the temperature ranges we've experienced indoors. This is in the greenhouse, don't forget, guys, not outside. So with the sun on the glass and the bubble wrap, it's managed to hit 39 degrees in here in the last, what, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, actually, thinking about it. So it's gotten quite hot at some point, but that was with the blazing sun on the glass and the door shut. Now look, I'm going to turn you around now, and we'll get across here. And this is the little hut, the little wooden hut. If I can stand back a bit, I'm trying to get back here. There's all sorts in the way here, guys. Remember I made this little greenhouse effect out of what was an old tool hut. It's rotting at the bottom, it's starting to fall apart. I am considering replacing it with a proper greenhouse. But in the meantime, I put some plastic sheeting on it and converted it into a mini greenhouse. Now if we look in here, again, neglect because of one thing and another. There's a few chilies left sitting in here. I might see if I can rescue those. They would probably benefit from going in the other greenhouse once I've cleaned it and sterilised it. Put some heat in there. They may come on, you never know. We'll give it a go. And the remains of my tomatoes now, they're all withering and dying back now. As I said, we did have a reasonable crop of tomatoes from those. So that was good in that respect, but not overly successful. To be honest, it's not the best of environments. It was a makeshift greenhouse. I sort of converted an old wooden shed to make this, and it served a purpose for at least one season, but I'm not sure it was that successful. So I think the next stage would be to remove this and consider the replacement of a proper purpose-built greenhouse, probably similar to this one. This one's quite successful. It's only 6 foot by 4 foot, but serves a purpose for me, and is a great little area for bringing all my seeds and seedlings and plants prior to putting them out in the garden. Now this is my little compost bin. It's the Dalek style, as I said. Now if you look down the bottom here, it does have this doorway here, actually comes off. You undo the screw, lift the flap up, and you can get in there with a fork and a trowel or a spade and drag the soil out of the bottom. If we have a quick look in the top, God knows what's in here, guys. We'll have a look. There you go. It's full up with all sorts of the rabbit bedding stuff, bedding from the chicken's run or the chicken coop, and all the waste from the kitchen. All sorts of stuff goes in there, and it all rots down, and I drag it out of the bottom and put it back on the garden. And here's the garden looking back up there towards the gateway. It's a bit of a mess, but it's okay. The fruit bushes are all dormant for the winter, and looking forward to a crop of black currants and red currants from those next year. We did make some lovely blackcurrant wine this year using the fruit from those bushes. Very delicious it was. And raspberries as well. We made raspberry wine from the raspberries from there. So all in all, it's been successful. It's been a good year. We've managed to get quite a bit of produce from here. There were shallots down here. They're now pickled in jars indoors. We had beetroots in the area over there. You can just see that area. That's where I grew my beetroots. They've all been harvested and top-tailed, boiled, skins rubbed off, sliced into jars with we've used distilled white vinegar, and I've put a few things like bay leaves and peppercorns and things in with them just to give them a little bit of a flavour. But we've already started using them. They're really lovely. Nice pickled beetroot, pickled onions, as I said. Daisy produces a few eggs, although she's going through molt. She's very scruffy bird at the moment, aren't you, Daisy? Look at you. Look at the state of you. Honestly, bless her. She's losing all her feathers and getting new ones. And while she's doing that, she stops laying eggs. So we haven't had eggs for a couple of weeks now. But we were getting one a day from Daisy, and those eggs we have pickled. So we've got a few jars of pickled eggs as well. Right, guys, I think that's it for this end. I'll just stop you there, and we'll pop back up to the top for a little final chat. Well, to be honest, there's nothing nicer than spending a bit of time out in your garden at any time of the year. I do especially like sort of the autumn, winter period. There's something about it where you've got the promise of the nice cozy indoors, but you can be out here and you can have a look at things and start to make plans for next year and reflect on what's happened this year, what's worked, what hasn't, what's grown and what didn't. Yeah, I think we've had a successful year. Everything's been quite nice. I think a garden is always changing. There's always ever something to do. You remove a plant that's gone over, got too big or died. You put something new in. You move things around. You find something's a bit overgrown in one area, but it's suited for another. So you're constantly tweaking it and moving things around to get the best out of the area that you have. So now's the time. We've been reflecting on what's been happening. We're looking at what's going on now and looking forward to the spring and making plans for next year's growth with the flowers, the shrubs, the vegetables, the fruit and everything else that we enjoy in our small garden. I'm pleased to be back. It's good and nice to see you guys. Nice to have a chat again. And as I said, whatever I'm up to, I'll take you along with me. And it's so good to get back outside. It's so good to be able to do things that I haven't been able to since that infamous day in August. I don't want to dwell on that. That's not important anymore. I'm just glad to be back. It's just nice chatting to you guys. And I'll be making more videos. I'll be getting back into the flow of things and bringing you along with me. So from the Life's Good and AJ and Cheryl, who's indoors somewhere, it's great to see you. Stick around, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for updates, and we'll see if we can't enjoy the Life's Good together. You take care of yourselves now. Be safe, be happy, come back soon. Bye bye now. Well, I promised you a look at my parsnips, or at least one of them. I'm going to see if I can lift one or two. We need them for dinner at the weekend, or tomorrow at least. So the ground's a bit firm at the moment because it's been wet and they're going a long way. And if I could just, there we go guys. I'll just wipe the soil off of that. There's not a lot wrong with that. That is a good sized parsnip, perfect for Cheryl and I. Just wash it off, take the top off, and fantastic. Now we'll be saving some of these for Christmas, of course. We'll be having parsnips, roast parsnips with Christmas dinner. You can't beat that. Fresh parsnips from the ground. That is perfect for me. Well, we've got a few small spring onions left in here. I'll just try and pull these. They're all right. Just the last remaining few. But It's a shame to waste them. I'll take them in, I'll give them a rinse, cut the roots off, and I can use those. They're coming apart here. The ground's a bit firm because it's wet. There we go. Nothing wrong with those. Nice. Hi Daisy. You don't like spring onions? No. I just wanted to show you some of the things I brought in from the plot this morning, guys, very quickly before you go. Left to right, I've got a sprig of rosemary here. Lovely shrub of rosemary in the garden. The rosemary's ideal for flavouring your meat, lamb particularly, stews, casseroles, that sort of thing. I've got some bay here. The bay leaf, the bush is great to have in the garden. The culinary bay, these bay leaves are fantastic. We've got some sage. I've got a couple of little sage bushes in the garden. I'm having sausages for tea. I'm sure I'll be using the sage with the sausages this evening. They are pork, by the way. There's a little sprig of mint, ideal for dressing your puddings, desserts, again with the rosemary on lamb, things like that. Got some lovely parsnips. We've got an absolutely gorgeous crop of parsnips this year. I showed you them being pulled out of the ground a moment ago. They are amazing. Got some leeks. This one's probably a little bit too woody, but there are some leeks left out there. I've been pulling them, and we do pop them into soups. We use like a leek and potato soup, things of that nature. The chard, absolutely gorgeous. We love the chard. The leaves and the stalks are edible. Treat them like spinach. We wilt them down. Just steam them over. If you've got a pan where you can boil your root vegetables in, your potatoes, carrots and stuff like that, and then pop the little trivet on the top that is the steaming attachment. We steam these down, sometimes with a bit of garlic powder or a bit of cracked black pepper. Absolutely gorgeous. And the smaller leaves, these little tender ones, are ideal in salads. You can use these in salad dishes. Lovely. And a few of the last spring onions. I've got a few spring onions here. They're great with salad, in your sandwiches, or alongside a little supper of some kind with some cheese, some nice fresh baked bread. Absolutely wonderful. So it just goes to show that even though it's the middle of December, there are still produce and herbs and flavourings to be harvested from your garden, and you shouldn't go without much during the winter.